Back now at 8:11 with mother, model, and former pro beach volleyball star Gabby Reece, and she's opening up about her life in a new book. We're going to talk with her in just a moment. But first, NBC's Kate Snow spent time with Gabby at her Hawaiian home. Kate, good morning.
Good morning, Natalie. Every once in a while, someone will come up to Gabby Reece and ask what she's been up to for the past decade, and her answer, I've been here, living. And now she's laying it all out, the joys and challenges of marriage, being a mom, and in her words, serving her man. If you were alive in the 90s, you'll remember the spikes, the photos, that ridiculously cut body. Gabby Reece is known for being fierce, but in her new book, she's also candid about how a marriage that started off floating down the Hanalei River almost ended in divorce.
So it's perfect wedding, right? Everything's perfect. We have perfect jobs. We live in perfect places.
You look perfect.
Correct. But that's the whole point of the book, which is the happily ever after. Maybe what's typical is that you slam into a wall, but then what are you going to do when you do get to that wall?
For Gabby, part of that wall was her husband's moodiness, which she found hard to confront.
I think I was putting her in a position that she had these things that she wanted to express and not expressing them, so then you get this buildup over time.
Gabby and Laird worked through their problems, and now, 17 years later, they've settled into their own version of paradise, which is all the brighter, they say, for having weathered the storms.
I feel like it's a blessing for us that we've gone through a bunch of different things in our relationship, which has allowed us to arrive here today. We've been brought here through what we've endured in our relationship, and at the end, that's all made us stronger.
It won't surprise you that Gabby's big on exercise and a healthy diet, but what might surprise you are the things that she writes about marriage and her role as a woman. Natalie.
And we're going to delve into that now. Kate Snow, thank you. And the new book is called My Foot is Too Big for the Glass Slipper. Gabby Reece, good morning.
Great
to see you
again.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
The book is funny, it's witty, but it is also brutally honest. I mean, as you say, this is a guide to the less than perfect life. Yours was not the Cinderella story here, right?
Well, I think, first of all, if you're going to write a book or have a real conversation about this, you should try to be honest, because it's already difficult enough to manage, so you can't add to that by writing books about, like, how perfect everything is. For me, I used to do a blog called Death by Domestication as like a joke about how you could sort of figure out how to combat some of the things about domestic living, and out of that came this book with Karen Carbo, and just trying to not demystify the idea of having it all, but having a realistic conversation about what is the all.
And we're going to get into that in a moment. But let me start from the beginning, where you start actually on page 1 with the book. You say, my happily ever after began on November 30th, 1997. On that day, I married my prince. Very next page, page 2, you write, naturally, 4 years later, we filed for divorce.
Sure.
You two ended up working it out. You ended up sticking it out.
Yeah.
How did you make it work for you? And I say work because it really takes work.
It does. I think, first of all, you realize that what can you do different and do better in the relationship, and that's what I had to look at, because you're not born with the skill set to live and cohabitate and be in a relationship with somebody. So really, sometimes it's only trial by error and by fire. And so I think both of us realized that we had sort of a foundation to make it work out, and that we had a shot, and that we should maximize that instead of saying, okay, this is too hard and quit. But it's also forgiving yourself that you don't really know how, and that you have to learn how.
And so you did that, and
I'm still doing that.
You're still doing that, and you actually, I mean, you sparked some interesting discussion, I think, with what you write about in the book. Even just as we were talking about this in the newsroom yesterday about gender roles, and you write, quote, to be truly feminine means being soft and receptive, and look out, here it comes, submissive. Are you saying that women need to serve their men better, to please their men better?
I think the idea of living with a partner is, how can I make their life better? So if I'm the woman and he's the man, then yes, that's the dynamic. I'm willing, and I choose to serve my family and my husband, because it creates a dynamic where he is then in fact acting more like a man and masculine and treating me the way I want to be treated, which is I'd like to be cherished, and I'd like someone to sort of look after me as well in that role. And I think because women have the ability to set the tone, that the ultimate strength and showing real power, I believe, is is creating that environment. I don't think it's actually a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength.
So, but you're not being submissive, as you say, in weakness.
Well, he's not saying dinner on the table at 6. We're
Right.
not talking about that. I'm saying, hey, I'll lift up my side, and I'll do it happily. And also, the expectation would be, or the hope would be, that he comes with the same attitude. But yes, is it a form of service? Absolutely. But I think it's the place I can express that part of myself and my personality.
Do you think more women need to do that when it comes to trying to even have it all, as we say?
Well, there is no having it all, but I think the idea is women have to understand what's going to make them happy. And if they choose and they want to have a family and they want to empower their male partner, that this would be a way to do it. The idea of the book is to figure out, how do you make yourself happy? Because no one is going to make you happy, and you can't live through your children. And then within that, how do you empower and make the lives easier of your family members?
It's interesting you say you have to choose, though, because I mean, this whole lean-in conversation, I think that we've heard recently with the book by Sheryl Sandberg, is the idea that women can have it all. They can get to that point. Obviously, it comes with some sacrifice.
I think the idea for me in this book was, why don't we rejigger what that definition is a little bit? Because, first of all, we never talk about men having it all. We don't worry about them having it all. So I don't know where we got this idea that to have it all. I think it's also about, when do you want what? It's like, I took off for almost 10 years so I could be there for my very young children. But again, there's a lot of different ways to get it done. It's got to be an inclusive conversation, not making women feel bad that they do it one way or the other, but going, how are you getting it done? How can we support each other in that? But I think it's very challenging to think, oh, I can have it all. My children know they can't have it all.
They can't. And you're raising your daughters to believe that they will have to make some choices in life?
You have to make choices, and I think if things are hard work, so you've got to choose what you're going to work really hard at.
All right. Well, Gabrielle Reece, it's sparking a lot of talk, and it's a great conversation. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about this tonight as well.
Well, I won't be reading the internet then.
No, we like your honesty and your open points of view.
Thank
you for sharing it all with us. And there's a lot more health and wellness and everything related in this book as well. So to read an excerpt from My Foot is Too Big for the Glass Slipper and to sound off, just head to our website, today.com.